Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to start with we are going to continue with chapter five. In chapter five, previously we have discussed about the different concepts of business correspondence. In this, we have explained what are the importance of business correspondence, and we have explained you two different concepts. That is. Um, Writing of letters. Okay, in writing of letters we covered two concepts. We gave you two examples, like what is block format and what is semi block format, and you can use any of these formats to write your letters. And after that we explained you what are business reports. So in that we explained you what are the pros and cons and how you have to write, what is your style, what are the benefits, all these aspects. And after this we are going to start with business reports. Okay, so this I have explained to you yesterday what are business reports and how it needs to be drafted, and what are the different categories of business reports. Okay, so after doing this, we are just gonna go with writing effective business reports. So what are the important or essential things that you have to bear in mind before you're gonna start something called as business reports? Okay, that's what we're gonna cover today. So, in this, we are going to understand business report is not something like any other report where we just give an abstract information. Okay, it has to be well organized, it has to be systematic, and it has to be in a way where it can be understood by the reader very efficiently. And it has to be used for higher level decision making or interpretation, having organizational goals. For doing all these analysis, it is very important for us to have a very effective and a useful business report. Okay, so business report is not to be written in the form of an essay. Okay, so what do we do in essay? Continuously we keep writing. We start with a heading, we start writing different paragraphs. Okay, we just keep writing all these paragraphs and finally we come to a conclusion. Here we don't have any diagrams, we don't have any pictorial representations, we don't have any proper statistics presentation. Okay, and we don't have a proper index or the table of contents. So all these things will not be there. So we shouldn't write it in the form of an essay. Instead, it needs to be in an abridged style. So what is an abridged style? So here they say you have to give an executive summary, like a crisp summary. Then you have to give the table of contents, which page, where I have to refer. Then after that, I'm going to give what are the contents available in detail. If required, I'm going to give all the pictorial representations, graphs, statistics, okay, for easy interpretation. And after that, I'm going to go with a conclusion. Okay, so all these things become very important. Then navigate the report quickly and to identify the key items. For this, I have already told you we should have a table of contents or executive summary. Okay, so once we have this, it becomes easier for the reader. Whatever information they want in precise, they can go to that particular page as a quick reference and identify what are the points that they want, and they can check that and they can study and go ahead with their conclusion. Okay, appropriate heading and subheading, and if necessary, bullet points, diagrams, and tables. So kindly ensure when you're writing business letters, you add in appropriate headings. Okay, we should have proper headings like chapter headings, what we have. And after that, in chapter headings, we will have subheadings. The same way you can give it as finance department subheadings, purchase department subheadings, sales department subheadings, marketing department subheadings, research and development department subheadings. Okay, so this can be called as a heading followed by subheadings. If I have to write more information, I don't go with something called as a detailed explanation or paragraph writing. I can rather go with bullet points. Okay, I can write bullet points, and in this bullet points, I can give information in a crisp, clear way. Then after this, we have diagrams and tables. If I have to present my information in a more systematic way, then I can go with pictorial representation by using diagrams and labels. So after this, we have your report needs to be accessible in a very quick way. It should be clear and it should be efficient. Okay, so your report should be something which if a report is being presented to me, or a bunch of papers are being filed together and provided to me, it should be easy for me to navigate this report. Okay, and understand what are the information you're providing. It shouldn't be too vague, it should be crisp and clear, so it's easier for me to understand what is being provided, and it is efficient in attracting information and using it for additional or next level processing. Brief one page or two page reports are also accepted. to reports of 100 pages or more with several chapters. So reports can either be 1 or 2 pages, or it can be 100 pages. It depends on the information what you're providing. So let's say if they ask you for a weekly report can just be of 2-3 pages. If they ask you for a quarterly report, it can be 30-40 pages. If they ask you for an annual report, yes, obviously it will be 100 pages or plus. Okay, so we should be efficient enough in providing this information in a crisp way. Okay, and depending on the information what they have asked for. Lengthy report would include a table of contents and possibly an index. Okay, so in a lengthy report, it is always advisable if you go for 100 pages or 60, 70 pages or something, it's always better to give an table of index and also with the table of contents. So a table of contents will be headings provided with an index is page number being provided. Okay, just the chapter headings will be provided along with the page numbers. Then it is called as table of contents along with the index details. So an effective business report should have 4 elements. So what are those elements? One is executive summary. The executive summary will be the table of content, index, for what period this report is covering. Okay, so all those crisp introduction part will be called as executive summary. And after that, we will have a body. The body will be whatever crisp details I've provided in my executive summary, the detailed information will be provided in my body. And after this, I have to provide all my key findings and recommendation. So whatever I have found out as a new concept, or whatever is my recommendation, what the management has to do, what are the activities that they have to take up, what is the benefit if they do a particular job. Okay, so all this information I will be providing it in my key findings or recommendation to the management. And after this, I'm going to provide a conclusion note. The conclusion note will be based on my recommendation. If you go ahead, what will happen as a conclusion? We will just give all these details. So if they ask you what are the elements of a good business report, they can give you 4 elements together. In that, you have to select this 4 elements: executive summary, body, key findings or recommendation, followed by conclusion. Okay, so since you don't have any writing way or expressing your answers in a written format, it's all objective type, it is pretty easier. Okay, just understand the headings and know what they really mean. After this, to write an effective business report, it is necessary to understand and identify the following points. So what are these following points? To write an effective business, you have to ensure that you're clear with the objective of the report. Like, why am I writing this report? What is the objective? And what is the purpose for which I'm going to write this? Okay, the key purpose we should be able to identify and analyze in the first format. After this, we have to understand the format of the report. So if I am analyzing a report, I will see what is the format the other person has used. And from this, I will understand the ways or methods in which I can present my information. Okay. So when you have gone through a couple of reports, you will understand what are the formats, how to present, which way I can, which format I can use. And all these things will come with practice. Okay. Slowly with practice, you will start understanding all these things. After this, you should understand who are the users of this report. So users of this report can vary. It can be top level management, middle level management, or lower level management. For lower level management, what do we do? We provide all these instruction kits or user manuals or joining kits, training programs provided to them. So for all these things, training report, a joining report, okay, we can have certain things. So middle level management, analysis, interpretation of job, whether it is being done as per the top level management instruction, and whether lower level management is acting as per their instruction. For this, they will prepare certain reports. Top level management will prepare reports which includes understanding the organization goals, setting the goals and desires, objectives for long term, short term, medium term, and all these things. For this perspective, we should understand who are the users, and based on the users, we have to prepare our report. Okay. Then after this, requisite information or inputs data. So here, if we require any information from any particular department or any a particular a segment like finance segment or purchase department or sales department, so whichever information we require, we have to collect all these information. We have to use this as input or raw data. Okay, so based on this raw data, we are going to analyze and give certain information in our report. Okay, so we have to see where we have to collection of data and facts. So next, after identifying what are the information that I require, I have to start collecting the data or facts from this respective departments. See, certain reports can be internal reports, certain reports can be external reports. So if it is external reports, what happens? I have to collect information from external world, like what is the political situation, what is the income tax benefit being provided, what is the export situation, what is the transport situation for my goods, okay, if it needs to be transited from one place to another. So it becomes important for me to collect all these important data. Based on this important data, I'm going to start preparing my reports. Okay, and after that, analysis and fact finding procedure. So once all this information is being collected by me, I will understand and interpret what is the analysis method I have used. Like I could have used probability, or I could have used mean median mode. Okay, I have to tell what is the method that I have used and how the facts have been identified, like how I've come to the conclusion. Okay, based on how much of interpretation, what is the probability that it can go wrong, what is the probability it can be correct, how many things variables I can change in my report. If I change any of the variable, what will happen to the results, what is the probability of success, what is the probability of loss. Okay, so all these interpretations will be there in your fact finding. After this, you have executive summary. Executive summary, I told you already, it will be at the beginning where I have to give all these information. Okay, where it is going to start, what is the objective, what are the different chapters, what is the subheadings, what are my recommendations, what's my findings, analysis, interpretation. So all these information I will give it in my executive summary. So if a person is not able to go through the entire report, then he can just go through with the executive summary. He can interpret the information, whichever information he wants, he can go only to that particular information and gather the data, okay, for further interpretation or further analysis. So whenever I'm writing an effective business report, I have to ensure all these qualities or abilities are there in a report. Okay, so after this, we are going to start with a next concept called as interdepartment or interdepartmental communication. So what happens in interdepartment or intra-department? So interdepartment is a communication that happens within the department. So what is within the department? Within the department means, let's say, when communication happens only within the finance department, or when the communication happens within the sales department, purchase department, marketing department, research and development department. When communication happen between finance manager and assistant finance manager, finance executives, or sales manager, sales MD, followed by sales executives. Okay, so when within the department, when interactions happen, that will be called as inter-department. So what is intra-department? When finance department people speak with production department, when finance department people speak with sales department. Okay, when one department communicates with another department, it is called as intra-department. Okay, so inter is within the department, intra is one department communicating with another department. More often, this kind of communication is always been formal communication. Okay, it is a formal affair where communication happens from one department to another department. We always try to keep it as a formal affair. We don't go with any easier way or a shortcut way. Okay, we always keep it formal. We give it in a writing or record it in a proof where it can be extracted. So before, what was happening? Few age, like a few decades back, okay, excuse me, few decades back, it was understood that employees were not being involved in, that is lower level employees were not being involved in the production process, or they were not involved in the communication process. That is, their feedback was not being taken. They wouldn't be asked whether they are happy working in this particular organization or particular environment. So all these things was not being inquired by the management. But today, the management is not taking the lower level employees for granted. Okay, they are checking whether these people are really happy, whether they are satisfied, what is the thing that they are missing, what further information we can give them. Okay, so all these things have grown over the decades. Today, lower level employees are being asked, middle level employees are being asked. So top level management, before making any organizational goals, they ask all these people whether they're happy, they're comfortable. We are going to go with so much of production for this year. Are you comfortable working? Are you comfortable with the overhead policies, overhead procedures, and all these things? If you're not happy, what is the additional benefits you want? So all these things we have started asking, and only if um, the middle level and lower level management are happy with our policies, we start implementing this. Why? Because today employees leave the organization very easily if they do, if they are not happy, or if they don't like the procedure or work culture and all these things. To reduce all these complications, today we have come up with employee interaction in the management. Okay, so today we have greater participation of the important role the staff play in an organization. So a greater appreciation of the staff participation. So today we have a lot of staff participating in the management affairs. They give us updates. They give us what are the faults that they find in an organization, what are the corrective measures that can be taken in order to reduce the wastage, or improve the production, or improve the quality, or improve the output. Okay, so for all these things we have started recognizing the employees words, or employees concern in an organization. For this we have started giving them something called as employee stock option plans. So employee stock option plan has become a very a popular method now. So if an employee is working very good, okay, they are being provided shares of the company. Okay, that's called as employee stock option plans. This you will study it in executive in detail. Okay, how it works and all these things. So in simple for your understanding, when an employee performs really well and the organization identifies that employee's benefits, or employees efforts, then they give him shares of the company. Okay, free of cost or with certain minimum amount, shares will be given to the employees of the company. Okay, this is a very effective method in which we are rewarding the employees. So slowly they will become the people who will own the shares of the company. Okay, and greater interest in framing of policies, get more respect and enjoy confidence. So this way employees will have more connect with the organization. It's not just a small simple process. In the long, they will have more loyalty for the company for which they are working. Okay, for all these purpose, it becomes important for us to ensure employees are working in the organization. Okay, then after this we have, memorandum. So what happens in memorandum? So I told you already there are different types of communication which is being used in an organization. So for internal communication, we have certain things called as memorandum, office orders, office circulars, and office notices. Okay, so we are going to explain all these things in detail right now. So the first thing what they come across is memorandum, or we call it as memo. Simple. In your college, you would have had a concept where when you want to work with or let's say when your office is when your college is coming out and telling that if your organization or let's say your college is going to change the working hours. Okay, so if they want to change the working hours, before you had it from 9:15 to 3:30, now they want to make it as 9 o'clock to 3:30. Okay, so when they want to change and process, this process will become, this might not be applicable to all the departments. This might be applicable only to, let's say, commerce department or science department. Then a particular memo will be sent across to all the sections which deal with science or commerce subject, and they will read out this memo in your class saying that from next Monday, kindly note that all the classes will not start from 9:15, it will start from 9 o'clock. Okay, is being used even in a business organization. So in a business organization, when they want to send certain information to people, they will send across with the help of memos. Okay, so what happens in a memo? Memo means a note or a record for future use. So this will not be discarded. Generally, if, even if you see in your college, they will have a memo book. Okay, in a memo book, they will give a serial number, and within that, they will start writing all this information. If you have not seen, kindly go to your office room and ask them, you just want to see a memo book for your understanding. They will show you. Okay, so memo book will always be serially numbered, and all the memos, whatever comes, it will have certain information, and finally it will be signed by head of the department or principal. Okay, so this is basically an information which will not be thrown away, it will be recorded. If it is sent across in a book, yes, it is binded, all the sheets will be binded and serially numbered, so all information can be gathered. If it is in the form of mail or if it is in the form of loose sheets, then all these information will be gathered and kept in a different folder. Okay, this will be used for further reference or future use whenever we require. For this perspective, we ensure that these memos are being saved. Okay, useful mode of internal communication. So within the organization, if I have to do any communication, then memos are very, very useful. Memorandums are preferred when one needs to convey information in writing. So whenever information needs to be given in a written format and not in an oral format. So what is oral format? I can call a particular department and tell them, kindly ensure this information is being passed across to all the employees in your department. Okay, when I do that, it becomes easier for them to interpret the information and give it to everyone. But when I call and give them, they might miss out on few people. Okay, or they might say, when did you call? I didn't receive your call, or something like this. To ensure that no interruptions happen, or nothing is being missed out of that kind, it is always preferred to keep it in writing. Okay, so written informations are always being kept in the form of memos. Okay, minor variation in the formats, it depends from organization to organization. Each organization can have different formats. Okay, there is nothing called as a standard format, like this only it needs to be followed. Okay, so the formats can be changed from organization to organization, but it depends how you are using it. Inside name and address are done away. So we like your letterhead, it will not have inside address to, from, and to will be there, but it will not have from, subject and all those things. Okay, dear sir, that salutations and complimentary close, all those things will not be there. That is thank you, dear sir, all that will not be there. Informal tone. So it is not too active or a direct message. So it will not have dear sir, dear madam, subject, kindly pay attention, courtesy note, thank you, all those things will not be there. And use of personal pronouns. Personal pronouns will be you, I, he, him, all those things that can be used. Numbering is optional. If you want, you can have numbering, memo number one, memo number two, memo number three for the financial year, so and so. Otherwise, it's not mandatory if there are only little memos, like only 10 memos being circulated in a year. If you have 1,000 memos or hundreds of memos, then you can have numbering. Titles such as inter-office communication, office memorandum, or inter-office correspondence, all are being alternative words used for memorandum. So it can also be called as memorandum, or it can be called as, excuse me, inter-office communication, office memorandums, or inter-office correspondence. Okay, so we will just run through one specimen copy for your understanding. That is one example. So they have given here Beam Electronics Limited, Bangalore. Okay, so reference number is nothing but your memorandum numbering. Okay, the sequence number what they have kept might be, this means 81st document for the financial year 2019. This is C, might be some department or something. Okay, code of a department. So this can be the format in which a certain serial numbers can be maintained. After that, they will give the date, and after that it will be given as office memorandum. This can either be given as office memorandum or inter-office communication, correspondence, whatever it is. Okay, with reference to his request for grant of special casual leave, Shri P. Sachdev is informed that special casual leave has been granted to him for 4 days from 23rd April to 26th April 2019 for enabling him to participate in district level athlete meet. Okay, excuse me. This is being approved by Ramesh Kumar, administrative manager. To whom it is being sent, Shri P. Sachdev, secretarial department. Okay, through company secretary. So through company secretary, this message is being sent across to this person. It is being approved and it is being signed by administrative department. Okay, this will be put across in the notice board or wherever the employees meet and all these places. So why he is going district level athlete meet? It is a responsibility where the company is getting certain recognition in the government level or bigger level. So for that perspective, they will add all these information in the memorandum. Okay, so it can be anything like this. It's not a standard method, it's not a standard procedure. The same method has to be like inculcated or imbibed in an organization. It differs from organization to organization. So this is a sample format which can be used by any organization. So this is a sample which they have given, so don't get confused that this is the hardcore method, this can't be changed and all these things. Nothing this can be changed because it is an internal communication document. Okay, they have given another 2 3 examples. You can go across and read all these things. Memorandums are used are also sorry memorandum memos are also issued in the cases of disciplinary action to be taken against employees and replies thereto. These include memos relating to show cause notice and charge sheets. Okay, so memos need not be just information being provided. If they want to take any strict action against employees, like who are coming late or who are leaving early or who are taking longer breaks or something like this, so for them even to give them a warning and all these things, memos can be used. Okay, so after this we are going to go with the next concept, that is office circular. So what happens in office circular? Office circular is for disseminating information to a large number of people. So let's say in your college they have 2000 students. If they want to give the information to 2000 students, they won't send it to each class like memo. They will read it out in your weekly assembly or daily assembly, wherever all the students will gather, and after that they will post this information in the office of like college notice board. The same way, even in office, what happens is when they have a regular gathering of the entire office or each department, when it gathers individually, this information will be provided to all the employees in the organization. Okay, this is a method of internal communication being used by companies, and traditionally it has been brief and business like, formal and devoid of salutations. So this doesn't require salutations like dear sir, dear ma'am and all those things. So that is being avoided, and you don't have any courtesy or complimentary clause like thank you and all those things. Okay, so this is a format which is being used for informing people at large, that is throughout the organization. If they want to give any information, then office circulars will be used. So for example, Suman Electricals Limited, Pune, circular number. So circulars will always be numbered just like your memos. Okay. So here we will give it as circular or memo or interdepartment communication or interdepartment correspondence. So whatever is required, all these information will be provided in circular, and numbering will be maintained. Okay. Then after that, we will go with date. Post the date, the information that comes here will be the manual of instructions, which was last received in June 2017, is proposed to be updated. Constructive suggestions are welcomed from employees. Suggestions are to be sent to the undersigned latest by 30th April 2019. So they are saying the instruction manual is going to be changed. Last it was revised in 2019. Now we want to revise. If you have any suggestions, kindly let us know, and it has to be sent to manager operations and marketing or management or something. Okay, cell. For this particular person, you have to send it across. So that particular person will sign here. Okay, so this is an information which is sent across to the entire organization and not to a particular department, or it is not specific to a particular individual as such. So when information is sent to the entire organization internally, then it will be called as office circulars. Then you have these are all different samples. You can go across and read all those things. Then after that, we have office orders. So what happens with office orders? So office orders are format similar to that of memorandum. Okay, so this is similar to memorandum. Most of the times we keep the same format. The purpose and the tone is employed will be different for different purpose. So let's say when office order is being provided to middle level management, the tone being used or the way it is being drafted will be different. When it is being drafted to communicate information to the lower level management, the tone and the purpose will be different. The way it is being drafted will be different. When the orders are being circulated among the HODs or top level management, the purpose for which it is being drafted and the tone will be different. Okay, so based on the employees to whom this office order is going to address, based on that, all these orders will have different tones and different purpose. Okay, matters affect rights and privilege of employees are generally covered in office orders. So here we are not having something like in memorandum we are giving information or updating people. In office circulars also we are giving information, but here office orders will not be giving information. These are called as restrictions or rights or privileges being altered or changed. Okay, so when any changes is happening in the organization internally, then office orders are being circulated. Language used is formal and legally common. So here the language will always be formal. Like for memorandum, it was informal. Okay, but here it is not informal. It has to be a formal language. And here passive verbs will be used. Passive verbs are verbs means feeling, action, and all these things, emotions. Here we don't use it as active thing where we are aggravating or making the employees angry or anything like this. So we use soft verbs which tries to convey the information what we want to convey. Then it remains in force until revoked and are filed for future reference. So these orders will always be effective till a new order comes in place. So orders are something which will be running currently, like change in your examination dates, or change in timings of examination or syllabus for the financial year. Okay, so when all these things happen, these changes will be effective until a new thing comes in place. Okay, and this will always be filed for future reference, so it will not be left out. So it is always being recorded and the information is being stored for a longer perspective, for records and retrieval purpose. Then after this, a bold underline heading is always being provided as office order. Okay, so it will be given as office order in the heading. So what happens in office order? One example we will just go across. Here it is. First they give it as order number. Order number can be your serial numbering. Okay, even here this is not a standard format. We again repeat, no, there is no standard format which is being provided to all organizations. Formats will differ from organization to organization. Okay, so whichever format they can use, that there's nothing called as standard procedure or standard method. So here they have just given a sample and it can be in any method. So in exams they won't ask you for any writing of any of these samples or anything. So it's all objective type, so you can leave it. Okay, but this is for your better understanding what we have given. Here order number will be given. So order number, whatever is the sequence number what they are making, that will be maintained. After that it will be given with the date. Then it will be headed as office order. So what happens here? Mr. JK Saxena, manager credits, Friendly Colony branch, is transferred to regional office on the same day, same rank and pay. He shall hand over charge to the chief manager and report at the regional office by 10th March 2019. Okay, sent by personal officer. Personal officer is HR officer or anybody, and a copy is also being sent to chief manager because he has to hand over to chief manager. For this perspective, a copy will also be sent to chief manager, Friends Colony branch, Mr. JK Saxena, manager. Okay, so this information will be provided in your office order. So these are things which will not be taken back until it is being revoked by another order. So let's say they want to reverse this. If they want to reverse this and have Mr. Saxena back in this Friendly Colony branch, then they have to pass one more order on March 10th or anytime after March 10th, once he is transferred to regional office. If he wants to come back to this order has to be cancelled and a new order should come into place. Okay, so that's why office orders will always be a public, sorry, that is internal organization. It is a communication which is being sent across to everybody in the internal organization, and it is a order being sent. That's why it will be called as office orders. Okay, so then you have a couple of samples which you can read it for your understanding. Okay, so after this we have something called as um, office notes. So what happens in office notes? Office notes are exchanged between two different departments. So here we don't have it as it is being circulated to everybody. Okay, when one department wants to communicate with another department, then office notes will be sent across. Let's say finance department wants some information related to number of new joinees in this particular month. If they want that information, they will write an office note to HR department. Okay, so generally today we don't write office notes or anything, we just go with mails. But still, for your understanding how things were working, to understand all those concepts, we have explained you how office notes also work. Okay, so when information is being asked from one department from another department, office notes will be used. Formal type of language will be used even for drafting your office notes. Okay, and it is a matter of here office notes don't have a particular format. Again, it is a matter of a person's individual style and individual preferences. So however they want, they can go ahead and write this information and pass it across to the relevant person. For example, uh, this is being one example they have given, where latex balls limited, TT Puram, and some address is being given, pin number. Your reference number is the, again, the serial number. It differs from organization to organization. However they want, they can maintain it. Okay, after that the date will be provided. After this it will say from which department it is being sent to which department it is being sent. So from here, if you see, it is being sent from legal department to administration department. What is the subject? Additional stenographer. Okay, they require one additional stenographer. So what they are writing, the extraordinary general meeting of the company is to be held on the 18th July 2019 to transact some urgent business. Therefore, two very urgent board meetings are to be held in quick succession for discussing a detailed agenda. The preparation of the relevant papers and other documents in connection with the above is to be given top priority, considering the workload likely to arise on account of this. An additional stenographer may please be posted to this department for a period of 1 month. This is being sent by T. Vishwanath, Manager, Legal Department. Okay, so what happens when one department is requesting another department for doing any work or for any information, then it will be called as office notes. Okay, so here we are covering something called as office memos, then office circulars, office orders, and finally we have covered something called as office notes. Okay, so these are the different four formats which will be used for interdepartment communication. Okay, so what are the points to remember here? A, a memo is different from a letter, both in format and in its effects and its effect on the addressee. So it is not too formal. Here, a memos does not have salutation and complimentary clause. Subject is clearly written and underlined in a memo. Okay, so whatever is the precise concept, only that we write it. We don't write any detailed information, wherein if you see in office notes, the information is entirely provided, why they want, what is the reason, what is the backup, all this information will be asked for. But this is not the case in this is not the situation in case of memorandum. Okay, it's very crisp. All the information is already being provided, only a particular suggestion will be given to this event. Okay, then after that, memos are used commonly for issuing instructions to the staff, change in the policy, inviting suggestions, giving information, making requests. For all these purpose, memorandum will be used and not any other methods. Okay. After this, the next concept just a minute. Language of memo should be polite and courteous, not just for memo, whichever methods of internal communication we are using. Kindly ensure if, because you will be one of the person who is drafting all these documents once you qualify as a company secretary. For this perspective, what we say is it is important for you to ensure you always use polite, courteous language to request or ask for any information. Okay, keep it very polite. So after this, we are going to start with the next concept, that is MIS, that is Management Information System. This is your next concept. So what happens in this concept is we are going to tell you how information is being stored in a system or a company using systems in their organization. So by now you should be clear that organizations for financial for storing financial information, they will use Tally. Okay, so Tally is something, a basic tool where input data and output data with related financial information will be stored in Tally. Okay, the second one might be they all use Microsoft Excel. Okay, they use Microsoft Word, they use a particular inbox, Outlook or something. Okay, so all these things are system supported where information is being stored by an organization. So when information is stored by organization, it will be easy for them to interpret, analyze, and understand how this information is being taken into consideration. Okay. If somebody is not able to hear our voice, kindly log out and log in. It will work properly. Okay. So when certain information is being stored by the organization, it becomes easier for them to interpret all these information on a future date. Okay, for this perspective, always whatever data is available in an organization, it will be inputted into a software. So this software can either be a what do you call, it can either be in the form of Tally, or it can be in the form of SAP, or it can be in the form of Microsoft Dynamics. Might be all these concepts will be new for you, but once you start working, you will understand each company will have a software in which the information has to be inputted. Okay, so these softwares are basically called as MIS. When this information can be shared by an organization in within their internal department, then MIS will come into picture. Okay, so MIS, is it mandatory for all organizations? No, it's not mandatory. But if it is a small organization, well, they can just run the show with Tally and Microsoft Office. But if the organization is large, if their turnover is large, if we have to interpret a lot of information, the management has to take up organizational goals or objectives, studying every department, interpreting how each of the department is working. To do all these things, then MIS will become very, very important. Okay, so MIS is basically a software or a system which is being used within the organization for generating information. Okay, data will be inputted from each department. Like sales department will say, for example, okay, in an organization, sales department will say, this month we have had sales of 100 units. Okay, we have sold 100 units on credit. So it becomes the work of the finance department to follow up and ensure the payments are being received as per the due dates. Okay, or purchase department says we had a requirement of 100 units of some raw material that's being purchased. So it becomes the duty of the finance department to ensure within the credit period lapses, the payment is being made. To do all these things, a certain software will be there which will give reminders, which will say payment is pending for purchases made on, let's say, 1st of May. Okay, 45 days payment term is there. So by 10th of May, we will start getting reminders on our system. So how is this a reminder popping up? Because there is an MIS system. Okay, so there is a system. If we input the information by purchase department, for finance department, it will start popping up by 1st of June. Okay, so it depends from each department how they have planned the process. Based on the process being planned, the information will start popping up. So this is what is called as MIS system. Okay, executives in an organization provide leadership and direction for planning, organizing, staffing, supervising, and controlling business activities. And also, they are involved in decision making process. For decision making process, executives need information. Okay, so the information is being provided to them by information specialist or by data processing department. Hence, the demand for organized need-based information in an organization is increasing day by day. Hierarchy of the information differs needs to differ. So what happens? We have lower level, middle level, and top level management. Top level management has to make organizational goals. Okay, in order to make organizational goals, they have to understand what is the middle level management doing, what is the lower level management doing. Right? Only when they get the information what their organization is doing, based on that they can make objectives for the current financial year or next financial year, or if they want to allocate budgets, it becomes very important for them to understand what is happening in an organization. To understand what is happening in an organization, they require the information as what has happened. So how do they retrieve this information? This can be retrieved through having an data processing system. So this data processing system will take all the information, and internally, if we see today a SAP or Microsoft Dynamics and all these things, they will automatically generate reports. Like for example, what I can give you is your pivot tables. Okay, your pivot tables, you can put certain filters, and after filters are being inserted there, if you can just copy paste that information to a Word document, okay, and convert it into a PDF, that will be in the form of a report. Okay, tabular presentation of information. So instead of giving vast information what is being available for me in my um, Excel sheet, I'm just giving the crisp information what is being required by my management. Okay, the same way what happens is when I need certain information, when I get into this software and give what are the conditions to be pre-filled, if I give all those conditions, then the data will be extracted in a particular format and the information will be provided to me. Okay, so it becomes easier for us, that is let it be middle level management or top level management, it becomes easier for them to interpret the information. We need not have multiple people or hundreds of employees working on presentation, or when I want to report what would happen in the previous days when a system was not being there, I had to tell one employee had to work with the various departments. He had to collect all the information, make it into a report and give it to me. Okay, he would take at least a week or 10 days to give the report. Okay, there is a lot of time being lost. To ensure that the loss of time is being made up, we have come up with information systems with which will help us to generate these reports within a span of minutes. Okay, we need not wait for a long time. Within few minutes these reports are being generated. This will be the information which will be used by the middle level and top level management to make organizational goals. Okay, here what happens, what are the major postulates of management information systems are. Here MIS is periodic, exceptional, and based on demands. So periodically updation should happen, like just how we have Microsoft updation, WhatsApp update. Okay, so when your version needs to be updated, the similar way MIS needs to be updated. It is exceptional, that is for each organization how they want, it will be modified as per their requirements and as per their demands. Okay, this is pre-specified and fixed. These information or the format in which a particular Tally or SAP will work, it will all be predetermined. So based on the amount what you pay, the services will be provided by these software providers. Okay, you'll not get access to all the information. If you want any further information, it depends on the amount what you pay. Okay, so it is pre-specified and fixed. Extraction and manipulation of operational data becomes easier when I have an MIS system. That's what I told you. When I want to take certain reports or present a certain information to the management, it becomes easier. I need not wait for longer time or days to generate this report. It can be done in certain fraction of minutes. Okay, the performance of the organization will increase in a very drastic way. Okay, for example, I told you to prepare one report in previous days when all these documents were maintained in physical format, we had to spend at least, let's say, 7 to 10 days. Okay, but today the same information is being presented to me within, let's say, half an hour. Okay, so what is happening to my information, and my manpower is not being wasted for generating reports for 7 to 10 days. Rather, the same information is provided to me within the next 15 minutes. Okay, so the manpower can be utilized for some other work and the performance of the organization is going to increase. Intelligence and implementation stages of decision making. Here, the information is not available to everybody in the organization. Okay, there will be certain restrictions. Every individual who is working in an organization will be provided with a user login and a password. Okay, so based on their login and password will be the information what they can access. So let's say if an employee is working in the lower level management in sales department, he can only see what is the inwards, what is the outward. Okay, to my department what is come in, to my department what has gone out. Okay, how much of quantity is come, how much is the price, only this much of information he can see. The same thing if a login is being used by a manager sales, then he can see what is the total number of input, what is the total number of output, how much of sales has happened, each person, each individual, how much of sales he has done. Okay, he can interpret all those things. The same thing if it goes to top level management. Top level management can see information with respect to with his user ID. He can see information with respect to sales, purchase, finance, HR. Okay, they can see everything. So here access is not being provided to everybody there. Based on their user ID and login, information can be accessed by them, which is restricted access. Okay, then after this we have a structured decisions for operations and tactical planning and control. So it helps me in making in decision making process. It becomes easier for me to understand what is the operation of my company, what tactic planning I should involve, and what are the control measures I have to implement in my organization. Okay, so after this, all these things becomes my major postulates in my organization or major important activities what will be provided by my MIS system, benefits of MIS system. After this, what is the purpose of having an MIS system? It helps, like a well-defined MIS system provides information to all levels of management, okay, for the following purpose. For example, to report the organization performance to tax authorities, shareholders, regulatory authorities, and other stakeholders, such as suppliers and customers. It becomes easier for us to prepare these reports and give it to each department as per their requirement. Okay, we are not wasting a lot of time. Then we have to prepare future planning for short-term and long-term basis. If an organization has to prepare any information, it becomes easier for them if MIS is there. Then we have day-to-day control on various operations. We can monitor and ensure that nothing is going wrong and everything is being under control. Allocate different types of resources. So when resource is being, let's say human resource, okay, people are not working in this department because there is no purchase or there is no sales, then we can ensure those particular people are coming and working in some other department. So resources are being allocated and they are not being wasted. Allow management by exception. So the management is being allowed to work exceptionally. That is, if sales department is not having any work, they will go and work with the finance department and ensure all the payments are being done. Any interaction needs to be done in terms of sales return that can be completed. Okay, purchase return, sales returns, GST payments, or all these information can be done. Okay, develop a database of business partners and to devise procedures. So here, whoever are our business partners, as per their requirement, data can be interpreted like different people associated with us. So as per their protocol, we can ensure we are all the standardization, ISO quality mark, all that is being followed by our organization, and ensure that particular procedure is being involved in our organization. Okay, so it all becomes easier. Then next one is develop the training tools for new recruitment in the organization at all levels. So it becomes easier for us to ensure the training program is being implemented in an effective way for all the new joinees. Okay, it's not a difficult process, but rather it is being done in an effective way. Then we have elements of MIS. So here there are three different elements in MIS. What is that? One is management, the next one is information, the third one is systems. So in management information system, we have three elements. The first one is management. So what is management? I've already told you management is the art is the art of getting things done through people. Okay, when a organization is functioning, they will have different departments, different levels. Okay, top level, middle level, lower level, followed by different departments: finance, sales, marketing, R&D, all these things. So here we have to ensure we have organized setting directed towards promoting certain interest, that is my organizational goals, preserving certain values, my values, ethics, and all those things of my company, and increasing my brand value, pursuing certain goals, that is, final goals of my organization. Mobilization, combination, allocation, and utilization of physical, human, and other needed resources in a judicious manner by employing appropriate skills, approaches, and techniques. Okay, so management is nothing but ensuring all these things work efficiently in my organization. Okay, that's what is called as management. Management may be thought of as the sum of total of these activities which relate to laying down of certain plans, policies, procedures, securing men, money, material, and machinery needed for their goals achievements, putting all of them into operations, checking their performance, and providing material rewards and mental satisfaction to the men engaged in the operation. So basically, management is a concept where different people are being employed in my organization. I have to ensure, first and foremost, as a top level management, what is my organizational goal? I have to decide what is going to be my output. Based on that, I'm going to start employing people, and after being people are being employed, I start explaining them what are their requirements. Once the requirements are being explained to them, after that, we will start understanding what is the requirement of the organization, what is the requirement of the employee. Both the requirements are being satisfied. Finally, we will ensure the organizational goal is being achieved. Okay, how I utilize the men or resources in my human resource in my organization will be considered as management. After this, we have something called as information. So, what is information? Information is nothing but when various men work in my organization, they will have certain amount of data. Okay, this data will be inputted in my system, and once the data is being inputted in my system, it will be processed, and certain valuable information will be processed. Like for example, in my production department, they input certain information called as um, um, 11 units is being sold. Okay, that means in my sales department 11 units is being sold. That's what example they have given. Simply when talking certain information, if I randomly give a number as 11, 11 will not have any impact, but the same number 11 will have an impact when a question like this is being asked. That is, what are the sales of the packaged goods by marketing department and projection for the next quarter? Okay, so if they ask a certain question, and if the sales department people give a answer as 11, then this is called as information. Okay, it's not just a pure data, it is about the information. 11 units is being sold, 11 components is being sold, 11 cars is being sold, so the number 11 will have certain amount of value. Okay, so that is being called as information. So all the input what is being provided by each department, that will be inputted into this MIS. This MIS will convert that particular data into particular information. So reports can be generated with the help of this information. So information comes into picture as the second system, a second element. Then the third element that comes into picture here is a system. So what is system? System is a set of procedure. Here, physical system is a set of components that operate together to achieve a common objective or multiple objectives. That is my computer system or whatever I have, that will be called as my system. Okay, objectives are realized in the output of the system. So it depends whether in my computer I have Tally, or I have Microsoft Office, or I have SAP, or I have Microsoft Dynamics, or Microsoft Navision. So all these things depends what kind of system I have applied, and based on that my results will depend. Inputs economically in producing its outputs. So system is something which is gonna help me economically. Like instead of having my employees work for 7 to 10 days to generate a report, economically it will help me to generate the report within 15 minutes or 1 day or 1 hour, whatever it is. Okay, so it helps in generating the output in an efficient manner, and economy of cost can be achieved. MIS can be thought of a system that is set of hardware, software, manpower, procedures to provide timely and accurate information to the management users. Okay, and it also provides formal information support to the members of the organization. So all the hardware, software, whatever components are there, all those things put together, we can call it as systems. This will help the management in taking certain organizational goals. Okay, like setting organizational goals or making certain plans in the company. Then you have the next system that comes into picture is um, what is the structure of management information system. The structure of management information system will be the management levels and how their information is being interpreted. Here we have strategic planning, tactic planning, and operational planning, the same what I've explained you over time. That is, top level will be called as strategic level management and their inputs, middle level will be called as tactic level, and operational level will be your lower level. Okay, so what happens in my top level management? Top level management have a set of management positions. Here, people who will come into picture are my chairman and members of the board of directors, chief executing officers, or head of any of the department. Okay, these are the people who will be involved in my top level management. These people will consider what is the overall task of the organization, designing, directing, and managing the organization in an integrated manner. Okay, external, and they will not just consider only the internal environment, they will also consider the external environment. That is, what is the financial position, what is the political position, what is the who are the important clients of an organization. They will read all these things. Based on that, they will start taking their information. Okay, their responsibilities related to the whole organization and not just to any individual department. Okay, they are accountable for the effectiveness and efficiency of the operations of the entire organization and not just any particular department. Determining the overall goals and objectives of the business is the topmost priority of the top level management. They plan long-term strategic plans, policy matters, and broad objectives of the company. They are also involved in the budget framework of the organization. Okay, after this, information on the trends in the external environment are also being studied in terms of economic, technological, political, and social information. And internally, what are the systems being used, how each department is working will be analyzed. Here, they just don't take current information, they will study all the historic information, how the company has performed. Based on that, they will make forecast for the future. Okay, this is with respect to top level management. Then we have middle level management. So middle level management are group of managerial positions which involves head of functional department, chief technical staff or service units. They involve managers of purchase, finance manager, manager of personnel, that is HR manager, or sales manager. Okay, they are involved in the administrative work of the organization. That is, what information is being provided by top level management, they will administer and ensure the lower level management is performing that job. They are responsible for the elaborate classification and operationalization of organization goals, strategies, and policies in terms of action programs and norms of the performance. So basically, they will ensure what is being advised by the top level management is being implemented in the organization. After implementation, what is the results that's coming? Task of formulating programmatic operations, operating policies, and procedures will be very important. After this, it is less diverse and complex. They don't have a major work, like it's not very complicated like top level management. For them, it is easier. They work in between top level and the middle level management. They are internal in nature. They don't get into too much of external world. They are internal in world. Then decisions are not strategic and long term. Okay, they are short term or medium term plans. They don't affect the long term organization goals. Then you have supervisory level, or you have operational level. So what happens here? These are the lower level management. Here you will have team of managerial positions like section officers, office managers, superintendents, foremen, supervisors, okay, who work as per the instructions or objectives or rules being provided to them by the middle level management. They are generally called as blue collar employees or workers. Okay, they are basically involved in implementing the operational plans and policies, procedures which is being provided to them by the top level management. They are involved only in the day-to-day decision making activities of the organization, okay, which do not require more judgment or discretion. They are not involved in the top level management like long term organization goals and all these things. There is no standardized format as such, and their goals, whatever they make, that will be short range and insular. Relatively closed environment is what they work with. Okay, they don't work with top level management. They work in a closed environment. It's not an open environment. Then what are the characteristics of MIS? So MIS needs to have certain characteristics. So what are those characteristics? First one is it needs to be comprehensive. Comprehensiveness is it should involve everything in an organization, internally and externally. What are the different factors? Everything needs to be involved in my MIS system. So my MIS has to be very comprehensive. Okay, it should involve everything. After that, it should be coordinated. Coordinated is there are different departments. Each department should be coordinated. The information which comes from purchase should go to finance. The information which comes from sales should go to finance. Any employee leaving, joining, taking leave, that information has to go to HR. Okay, like this, all the information should be coordinated. Then subsystems. If required, my MIS should support subsystems. What are subsystems? Here, I can purchase one system for my entire organization. After I purchase it for my entire organization, internally I will segregate this as different departments. So different departments should have different ways in which a system has to support them. Like finance department should have a very good support in terms of numbers. Okay, HR department should have a system which supports policies. Okay, so all these things becomes very important. So subsystem will become very important in an MIS process. Then integration. The information what is being provided from each department should be integrated. Why it needs to be integrated? Only if it is being integrated, the reports generated will be valid. Okay, so integration plays a very important role. All the department information should be integrated, and only after it being integrated, the reports will be generated. So integration plays a very important role because um, these reports will not just be used by middle level management or lower level management. It will be used by top level management who will analyze this internal information or internal data what they have generated from MIS with the external world. Okay, what is the political situation, what is the tax benefits, what's the export policies. With this internal information, how I can interlink my various departments and ensure most of benefits. Okay, so they are planning something called as organizational goals. It becomes easier for them when the entire integrated information is being available for them to make the decisions. Transformation of data into information. So this is the basic input where MIS will help us. Each data is being inputted there. These data from various departments will be converted into information which will be used by top level management. So examples are being given against each of these points. You can go across and read them. Enhance the productivity of the organization. Yes, as I gave you a small example in a report generation, a person works for 7 to 10 days. The same report is being generated in one day or half a day or 1 hour or something. This manpower can be used for some other work, and hence productivity of the organization can improve. Then conforms to manager styles and characteristics. So a report can be generated in a particular style, okay, or it can be altered as per the interpretation how a manager requires. So generation of reports or any tables or extraction of information from MIS can be changed as per the requirement of the manager, and he can present it in the way or style whichever he wants. Okay, so this is also one of the enhanced features of MIS. Relevant information. So if we want any particular information about finance department or HR department, that is also being provided by an MIS system. Okay, so relevant information with respect to particular departments or particular levels of organization or particular branch, okay, that can be provided by my MIS system. Then users established quality criteria. So what is established quality criteria is they have certain ISO requirement or certain policies are being used in my organization. So when all these things are being used in my organization, that can be provided as a quality criteria, and this quality criteria can be imbibed in my MIS system. Then feedback. If there is any interpretation or something going wrong in the organization based on the report being generated, then it becomes easier for us to generate this feedback, and this feedback can be utilized by the organization. Okay, then flexibility. MIS generally is flexible. So if we are not comfortable with the way a report is being generated, this system can be with proper internal coding. Okay, the people from SAP or MIS, Microsoft, all these people will come. If you buy a particular software, they will come and ensure if things are not working properly. Internally, they will code and they will change all these codes so it becomes easier for you to interpret the information. Modularity, there are certain modules and sub modules being available based on the modules what I purchase that can be used by my organization. Okay. Then we have selective sharing of data. I've told you already, each person will have a separate user name and ID, login password. So based on this, information can be shared to that particular level. It will not be all information will not be available to everybody in the organization. Based on their user login and password, information will be available. After this, we have all this information is being computerized. Yes, computerization is very important. We should have a proper system which will help us as a backbone in providing a proper MIS system for an organization. Hence, computerization of all the information is mandatory for us. Okay. Then after that, what are the basic requirements for an MIS? The basic requirements for an MIS is hardware, that is computer control wires and all these things. Software, internal application systems and software. Then after that, database, which is a hardware within the software within your system, like your hard disk or something like that, which will collect the information. Then after that, procedures are the way the data is being processed in your organization. Okay, whatever coding binary language that's being used by that particular system. Then after that, operational person is the IT person or technical person, whoever is working in the organization. That one person will be required. So these are the people who will be required, or the things that is being required for implementing MIS in your organization. So what is the limitation of MIS system? Quality of the output of MIS is basically governed by the quality of input and processes. So if the input is not happening properly, the output will not be as per our requirement. Then MIS is not suitable for substitutable for effective management. Here, MIS will generate reports, but MIS is not an artificial intelligence system where it will tell you what is the mistake that has happened, what needs to be an organizational goal. Okay, all those things will not be provided by you, provided by MIS. MIS will just provide what is the data given to them. Based on that, information will be generated and reports will be handed over to you. MIS is not may not have requisite flexibility to quickly update itself. Yes, MIS can't update itself. Most of the time, when you have purchased certain softwares like Microsoft Dynamics or SAP, you have to wait for their official software to be released. And once it is being released, they will only come and update it in your environment. Tailor-made information package suitable for the purpose. So the purpose is already being predefined in MIS. If you want to alter any of this purpose, it will not happen immediately. Okay, for that we have to ensure that we call that person who has provided the system. He has to come and he has to change this information. We can't do it internally by ourselves. Okay. Quantitative factors only can be analyzed here. That is numbers, figures, facts, figures, only this can be interpreted. As I told you, this will not help us generate any moral value or intellectual thoughts. All these things will not be as an output. Only numbers will be an output. Less useful for making non-programmed decision making. So in terms, we have to make any non-programmed decision like HR policy, COVID-19 situation, so work from home policy. So all these things will not come in MIS. So this is all non-intellectual decision making which needs to be taken up by ourselves. Okay, so intellectual decision making can't happen with the help of MIS. Only non-intellectual, that is quantitative data or number data, can be processed in MIS. Hold information and not share with others. So there is a restriction that information will not be shared with others. Certain perspective, it will be a problem. Okay, so everybody is not being provided access. A person who has to give that particular information is being absent for 1 week or 10 days or something because of certain illness, he has not come to office. So that information can't be accessed by anybody else because he has a secured user ID and password. Okay, so it can be a problem if that particular employee is not being present. Frequent changes in top management organization structure and operational team. So when there is a constant change in the top level management, the way they process the information can change, the way they want information can change. So hence MIS system will be continuously revised, hence it becomes a problem for the organization to adapt with the information what is being constantly changed in an organization. Okay, so with this we are going to complete our chapter. You can just ask your questions. Kindly don't copy paste your questions, kindly wait and give option for everybody to be heard. Okay, let's start with your questions. How information is categorized in MIS? It depends from organization to organization. However they want, they can categorize it. So the broad categorization what I gave you was finance department, purchase department, sales department. This is the software. Okay, MIS software is same for each department or for full company. It depends how they buy the modules. Based on that, the software will be utilized. Will lectures be uploaded? Yes, it is being uploaded. Kindly check with the chapter. How is the information? Kindly don't copy paste your questions. How to avail MCQ questions and post lectures? Check with the chapter. We have module or mock MCQ questions or mock tests. Kindly go and take that. Full form of MIS, Management Information System. Vestibular training includes MIS or not? No. Characteristics of MIS points that's being explained. What are passive verbs? Verbs that are not being aggressive or used in a very subtle way is called as passive verbs. YouTube link, kindly check with the chapter. They will provide you. I don't have the link right now. Explain MIS in brief. The management information system which is being implemented by an organization to help them analyze or make reports is called as MIS. Operations person is IT person, technical person who are helping the working of a system. Okay, IT support, whoever gives that, they are called as operation system. Okay. Tactical planning, explain please. Tactical planning is if I have to make any top level middle level management. Okay, if any tactic needs to be implemented in my planning procedure, or any small corrections or changes which I implement in my organization to ensure my organization goals is being achieved, that will be called as tactic planning. Difference between office memorandum and office circulars. Office memorandum is for a particular person or particular department. Circular is for the entire organization. Intra-department is one department communicating with another department is intra-department. Inter-department is within the department. Within the department, whatever we communicate will be inter-department. Intra is one department to another. Office circular I have explained. But this question was, yeah, What question? We are not sure. Yes, all portions of business communication will be covered. Next two classes we will take and we will cover it. Do we have to learn how to make a PPT for CS? Yes, you will require it in your executive or in professional level, not right now. For foundation, it's not needed. For CSEET, it's not needed. Employee stock option plan is the shares or shares being provided to the employees of the organization as a benefit for the work what they have done. Instead of giving bonus, they will give shares. That's being called as employee stock option. This you will study it in executive and professional in a detailed way. Okay. Is MIS according to the requirement of the organization? Yes, it can be designed as per the requirement of the organization. Should an organization necessarily have MIS? It depends. It's not mandatory. If a company has very less people, they can run the show with Excel sheets, a Word document, or pivot table, and all these things. If the organization is very big, then they can opt for MIS. It's not mandatory. It depends from company to company. What is the difference between office orders and office notes? Orders are instructions being provided. Notes are information being circulated among the employees of the organization. In which company MIS is applicable? It depends. That's what I told you. It depends from organization to organization. Intra-department, department to department. Inter-department is within the department. Okay. Inter is within. Intra is one department to another department. Um, What is memorandum? I explained, it is being explained. Have missed 15 days. Okay. If you have missed any lectures or something, kindly check with the chapter. What is the use of MIS? Okay. MIS is something that is being used to help the organization to work effectively. After explaining all this, you again come back with the same. Okay. Then MIS is basically used for to help the organization to work effectively. They don't want to waste their time, have multiple employees, work on different things and all these things. To reduce all these things, we come up with something called as MIS to increase the efficiency of the organization. Office orders, office notes explained. In which company MIS is applicable? What is the use of it? Copy paste, don't copy paste, don't copy paste your questions. What is MIS is basically used for? Okay, same questions. What is modularity? Modules will be applicable in an MIS system where purchase module, sales module, finance module, each applicable to different departments. Okay, so department called as modules in MIS. Okay, so we have to purchase these modules. Finance department module we can purchase, purchase department module, sales department module, research and development department module. So when modules are being modules are nothing but departments whatever you have. For that, if I purchase a particular module, that will be implemented for that particular department. Okay, that is called as modules in MIS language. Okay. Okay, so old modules will be available in ICSI YouTube students channel. Kindly go check there. You will get the input there. Mm. What is the example of MIS? MIS, you can just go with okay, in your college, they might have 2,000 employees. We can't maintain the update of all the 2,000 students, sorry, 2,000 students. So for that, they might have an Excel sheet, okay, like which year you have passed out and all this information. So if they give your student ID number in that particular system, it will generate all the information. Which year they passed out, which school they passed out from, what is their PU marks, what is their 12th mark, what is their 10th mark, have they cleared the first semester, second semester. So all this information will be generated. For this, they have a particular system. That system is called as MIS. The simplest example that I can give you is, okay, fine. So all the questions are being answered. MIS is always being available. So if you ask me whether it's an old or a new system, it is always being there. Once systems have been started being used in a computer, computers are being used in an organization, from then MIS also has come into picture. Okay. So all with all these things, we complete our sixth chapter. Okay, we will have a class on Friday. We will complete our. We will start with our next class on Friday, and we will try to cover chapter 7. Okay. So with this, we will cover this particular topic, and we will close this particular session. Okay. Thank you. If you don't have information about the chapter details, kindly go YouTube, go Google, give it as ICSI particular chapter which you have. They will have contact number, call them and ask. Okay. Thank you. We will just end the class for today.